Hi, I'm Willie. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. And what we're going to look at in this video is how to use your Synology as a Microsoft Windows domain controller, dare I say Active Directory. So let's talk about that for just a second. So those of you who have been around for a while, you know that the app on Synology to do this used to be called Active Directory. Now, I don't know any more than you do, but I can only assume that there was a cease and desist or something happened to spur the change of this the Synology directory application from Active Directory, because Active Directory is a Microsoft registered trademark. I'm sure of that, right? So let's hop over to the NAS. Now, right now, my NAS is on DHCP. If you are going to create a domain controller for a Windows domain, you need to have a static IP address on your NAS. So let's do that first. So we're going to go to Control Panel. We're going to go to Network Interface. I'm using LAN 1, so we're going to edit that, and we're going to say Manual Configuration. Now, I know I can use .2, so you'll have to use whatever IP address you can use in your network. I'm going to leave the rest of this the same for now because it's going to install DNS and a couple other things you're going to see. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK on this. Now, I don't know if it's going to redirect me automatically. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. And if you remember our first video that we did on this, we changed the default port because we went through the security configuration. So that's why we don't have just port 5001, we're 5501. So this is looking good so far. We're going to get to certificates and FQDNs and all that for management in an upcoming video yet this year. All right, so we're redirected, we're logged in. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Package Center, and I'm going to go to All Packages, and I'm going to scroll down until I find, let's see, it is Synology. Did I pass it already? Oh, here it is, Synology Directory Server. So Synology can be an LDAP, Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, or it can be a directory server, which is a Microsoft Windows. You can join Linux to it and you can join Mac to it, but traditionally this is for Windows machines. But like I said, you can authenticate Mac and Linux against it. So we're going to go ahead and install this. And it's going to say it needs to install the DNS server. So we're going to say yes to that. And it is now going to download and install. And just a quick point when we get to this. Did you see how fast that installed? Holy cow. So when we go to this, we're going to go ahead and we're going to set this up. We're going to go to DNS server. You can see that it's here. There's no zones yet. So I'm going to close that because we're going to come back to that. We click on Start. We go to Synology Directory Server. Now, Synology has done a fantastic job of keeping up with the times, right? So let's talk about these options real quick. And I am going to create videos on each of these. But you have create a domain. So it says create the root domain of a new forest. The domain supports the functional levels of a Windows Server 2008 R2 forest. And it says after the creation, this NAS will automatically be added to the domain. Then we can add a domain controller to an existing domain. So we can join this NAS to an existing domain created by a Synology directory server. And then you have a backup domain controller, a BDC, right? So when you're the main domain controller, you're the PDC, the primary domain controller. The backup is the backup domain controller. Here we can do a read-only domain controller. So let's say we have a remote site. Maybe it's got slow links from HQ to there, or maybe there's a lot of users and we don't want all that traffic traversing, all that authentication traffic and things like that, and there's no admin there. We can stick a read-only domain controller, right? So what's that mean? It's a box that's at the site that gets a copy of the Active Directory database, but it is read-only. It can't be modified there. Active Directory has to be modified on another server and propagate to that server. Then here's the piece de resistance, migrate from a Windows Server domain. I'm really excited about that one, and it is stinking easy. It's so easy that you think that you do it wrong. We're going to come back to that one. But for this video, we are going to create a domain. So we're going to click on that. Now, Microsoft wants us to do a top-level domain, or a TLD, something that we own is the best practice in creating domains. So for this, we're going to just do, williehowe.net, because I don't want the .com internally for that. This is demonstration purposes only. And then the work group, you can see it automatically filled Willie Howe. It just basically dropped the .net. And then it is going to give us a default administrator user. And you can see by default, it wants more than 7 characters. Put our password in. Okay, it passed. This 923 is fast. We're going to go ahead and create the domain. You can see that it is speeding right along here. I have a lot of fun with Windows domains. It is one of the best ways to manage Windows machines. Group policy is so powerful, and so many people don't use it. They don't even scratch the surface of what Active Directory can do. All right, so let's look at the notes. Please note, this Synology NAS was joined to the created domain, which means I can log in as administrator now into this as that admin. The DNS settings were changed, so we'll go look at that. But what it did was it changed the DNS on the NAS to look to the local DNS server. The previous DNS server became a forwarder, so we'll look at that real quick. And then for domain security, SMB signing is enabled, which may reduce read-write performance during SMB, and we can disable that. But we're probably going to leave that alone for just a moment. So let's go look real quick. So now let's go back here, go to DNS, and now you can see we've got 2 DNS domains, and that's really the secret sauce behind the Microsoft Active Directory, is how all of these different types of records work to manage workstations. It's beautiful. Resolution, so you can see this forwarder is set. So what is a forwarder? So a forwarder in DNS, if we query the DNS server here and it doesn't have a zone for it, so if it's outside of these zones, it's going to send that request to the forwarder because it doesn't know. Now you can use the global root servers if you want it, or you can use this forwarder. It's 6 of one, half dozen of another, depending on, I'm sure people are going to give me hell about saying that. Here's our log. It's going to show us everything that we've done, which is fantastic. And yes, under the hood, this is running Samba, which is an open source project. And obviously, Synology has made some changes. We can do DNS keys for secure zone transfer and things like that. Got some views. We've got some settings here. And the other thing is we want to make sure that we've got recursion or resolution service running, because if we don't, the workstations, so a Windows workstation, when it's in a domain, should always be pointed to the domain controller for DNS. And if we don't have resolution service enabled, they're not going to be able to look anything up, and it's going to be an embarrassing fail. All right, so we're going to go ahead and close this now. I just wanted to show you those things. So now, here we have our brand new Active Directory domain. And you can see that the fully qualified domain name, so anytime you see FQDN, that's fully qualified domain name, for the NAS is ds923-wh.williehowe.net. So, and you can see down here the roles that this holds. It holds all of the proper roles to be a server. So it's got the PDC emulator, the RID master, schema master, domain naming master, and the infrastructure master. There's also some other roles that you don't see here, like global catalog. If you don't have a global catalog with Active Directory, you don't authenticate users. You just don't. So here we've got our users and computers. So we can come in here and we can start adding users, creating groups. So when you create permissions in Active Directory, you should try to use groups first instead of users, because users go away, but groups are usually long-term. Here's our domain controllers, so you can see this here. Any computers we join to the domain are going to populate here. We've got domain policy. So by default, this has some domain policy options. So we've got maximum password age, minimum length requirement, history requirement. My next video on this is going to go over this entire thing. We've got account lockouts, all that good stuff. And we are going to enable the log. The log wasn't enabled, but we're going to do that. So this right here gets you up to the point where you are now ready to start adding workstations. And we're going to do that in the next video. We're going to do some group policy management and things like that. So if there's any specific group policies you want to see, let me know down in the comments. And this is one of my favorite things to do with a Synology NAS because there's no licensing. I don't have to license all this. It's so much cheaper and so much. If you're a company, a Caterpillar, a State Farm, a Geico, a huge company, right? You're probably running pure Active Directory, but you probably also have either somebody from Microsoft that lives, eats, breathes, sleeps Active Directory on site, or you've got some folks that are working for you that's what they do all the time. Smaller installations just really scratch the surface, but with all of the upcoming and ongoing security changes that are happening in the world, this is going to help you immensely manage your client's security and make sure you're doing security best practices. So we're going to come to that. I've got 15 or 20 policies that we're going to set to show you kind of how we do those things. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Please comment, share. Please follow me on Twitter and TikTok. Those links are down below, along with affiliate links for this NAS, the hard drives, and a few other things. And if another way to support the channel is to become a patron on Patreon. I appreciate everybody who helps the channel out. And then if you need IT consulting, if you need to roll this out to your clients or any of the other services that we offer, reach out at williehowe.com. Click hire us or contact us, fill that information out, and someone will be in touch with you as soon as possible. I've got several customers that we are going through this right now. This is one of our specialties. So reach out, and we're going to go through this, and I'm going to create a Windows domain. We're going to do a couple of the other options. We're going to set up a BDC. We're going to do it all. It's kind of what we're doing for office setup and security videos for this year. So make sure you come on back. Once again, I'm Willie. I want to thank you for being here. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.